Satan comes with the intellectual temptation. Had Jesus yielded it, he yielded to materialism. He comes with the temptation to the will. Had he yielded it, he yielded to utilitarianism. Satan comes to the last one. Now there is no other option. He comes to stir the imagination. He says, look, why don't you bow down and worship me? I will give all the kingdoms of this world to you. And Jesus says, be gone. It is also written, you shall worship the Lord your God, and him alone shall you serve. Please give me your undivided attention. I want to tie this all together now. Never before has the imagination been under such attack. Never before in history. All the pictures, all the images, all the tantalizing capacities that technology provides to draw the imagination away and enslave the heart's passions. Our young people are the most vulnerable because never before has such a picture capacity been real. And the picture has an extraordinary capacity, greater than the capacity of the word in some ways. Was it not William Blake a long time ago who talked about the eyes? This life's dim windows of the soul distorts the heavens from pole to pole and goads you to believe a lie when you see with and not through the eye. This life's dim windows of the soul distorts the heavens from pole to pole and goads you to believe a lie when you see with and not through the eye. We are created to see through the eye with the conscience. Modern capacity is inviting us to see with the eye, devoid of a conscience. The ultimate assault on music and its splendor is now. Young people are being asked not only to listen to music, but the pictures are foisted upon them, imposing a sovereignty upon their imaginations, even with melodies. But one of the greatness of music is that it gives you your imagination to make the extensions. Now they want to impose that picture and take away your imagination, even with the gift of music. Think of what Satan did for Christ there when he said, all this world in its splendors. And he said, you bow down and worship me, I will give it to you. And he said, no, you shall worship the Lord your God, and him only shall you serve. Pleasure is not the ultimate answer to life. Pleasure is fleeting. Boris Becker said after winning 2 Wimbledons, his greatest struggle was with suicide. Imagine that. I want to give you 2 quotations, contrasting ideas, and that'll be all. But let me precede that with this story. That'll only take me a moment here. I think it was sometime last year. My wife, 2 or 3 of my colleagues were with me, and we went into Hong Kong, a country about to face immense change. Been invited by a man who had more of a business than I think I would ever have in 100 lifetimes. One of the 3 wealthiest Chinese tycoons. Somebody there was telling us that not long before we arrived, he'd bought a small plot of land with the 2 of his partners, or a partner of his, in Hong Kong. They bought that land for $6 billion US. That's a lot of money. I don't know how many zeros it takes, but I suspect a lot. You know what's fascinating? Well, those of us who can't relate to that wealth, and I never even want to relate to that wealth. It's beyond my capacity to understand what that kind of holding must mean. But what is fascinating is to listen to somebody who has that and learn from what he's saying. He'd invited me to come and speak there to what they call the Diamond Collar Group in Hong Kong. And the first night, as soon as we got off the plane, we were at a dining table in a restaurant, and I looked across the table and I said, could you tell me how you came to know Jesus Christ? And why? I said. He said, I'll be glad to. His wife sitting beside him, a whole group of friends he'd invited. He said, about 18 months ago, I was driving home one day with my wife, and I said, you know, we have a lot of money. We have a lot of power. We have everything. I never dreamed of making this much money in life. He said, but Ingrid, I have no meaning. I'm empty. I have no purpose in life. Why? He says, do you think I need God? Here's a person with all that money, and listen to this. I think it had to be a joke. Do you know what his wife said? His wife said, there's a church opposite one of the apartment buildings we own, and therefore we won't have to struggle with parking. We can park on the apartment building and then go there and then go over here. You know, when you have that much, I would have thought you'd buy the road for the evening or something like that. We'll park free at the apartment building opposite the road. Maybe that's why they have this kind of money, I don't know. They walked into a church opposite the road where there was a week of discipleship meetings going on by the English speaker Nicky Gumbel. For 1 week he was teaching on discipleship, and Thomas and his wife gave their lives to Christ that week. And now the best thing he has to give his colleagues and people working for him is not the money and the job. The best thing he has to share with them is Jesus Christ. And his employees say, this is a brand new man. You'd never believe what he used to be like, what he is now. See, the pleasure that you had did not satisfy.